Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it is once again time for the Writers, Actors, Directors podcast. That's right, the WADcast. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by the true leader of the deep state, Brandon.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday night. It's good to be back. It's good to have another show. Our second show in a row here, Josh, I think, since our little hiatus, or is it the third one? I think the second one, right?
Yeah, who keeps track of these things?
Oh, no, it's the WADcast. Listen, guys, if there's not some kind of technical error or just like, I guess, disshufflement between our own schedules, then what the hell are we doing here? So we are here for another Friday night to hang out with you guys and discuss an awesome topic because I just had to watch a few movies to just even discuss this, Josh. But would you like to fill people in? Very little. I kind of like zoned out a few times. But would you like to tell people what our show is about tonight? Because I was a little vague in our posts about it. So you want to like just let people know like what we're discussing and exactly why?
Well, I had to get the word out that we're live real quick. So see, yeah, already getting some something or others, but I'm not going to look at my phone because I don't do that while you're looking. Tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the association that exists between government and Hollywood, who controls what, and whether or not it's a conspiracy.
Yep.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly. And it comes from like a video that I think. Did I send it to you or did you send it to me? You sent it to me.
I sent it to you.
Josh and I, we discussed this movie addiction group a few times on our show. We've discussed it. It's a great group. It's a really cool group.
Once or twice.
Yeah, once or twice. So the thing is that we have discussed it in great detail. We've mentioned a few things that we've seen in here that we thought were like funny or like worth talking about. And this is actually where this topic comes from tonight. There was some guy that posted a video, and I guess because you're reading the book, it must be true. And right there next to this, what's that?
It's Kente says hi.
Kente, what's up, buddy? So this whole video was talking about how there's an agreement between Hollywood and the government, where all these movies that are happening, the government has pretty much supreme control over what we see in movies. Now, never mind the anti-government movies. I'm sure that the government loved us watching things like, I don't know, what was that movie? Remember the 5th of November. It's on my tongue.
V for Vendetta.
What's that? V for Vendetta. Yes. They love us seeing things like that. They loved us watching all these other conspiracy movies. Apocalypse Now was. I'm sure that they loved us watching that shit. Deer Hunter. I'm sure they loved us watching these movies. Like Rambo. Like, see what happens to vets when they come home, as opposed to praise vets and praise a thin blue line. Rambo was all about just a guy that just wanted a meal and walk through town. That's all he wanted. The entire movie, the entire franchise of Rambo could have been avoided if that sheriff minded his own damn business and let Rambo go about his way, right? So all this goes down, and this video is talking about how, let's see, Zero Dark 30, and what was the other one that was in it? Zero Dark 30, and there's something else.
Jarheads?
No, not Jarhead. It was another really propagandist movie. And let's face it, I don't care who gets pissed off when I say propagandist. If you're watching here's my one per episode so soon. If you're watching an America Fuck Yeah movie, it's going to be a propagandist movie most times. So it has these movies where people at first did not like the government, thought the government was going all the wrong directions. They watch these two movies, all of a sudden, a percentage of these people are like, oh yeah, America's doing great. We love the government now. But it continues to go into detail where the head, because this idiotic woman read this in a book and made a video about this, she read in the book that the CIA, the head of the CIA, is correcting screenplays. All the things this man's got going on, he reads an entire screenplay now and goes through and makes corrections and sends it back to Hollywood. Sure, not a thing, but it's one of the things that this video talks about from this book. I read the highlights of this book. I'm not going to read the whole damn thing. I feel like I just come out like mildly mentally challenged if I did. But it's a book. It got published, Josh. It did get published, and it is a high selling book, largely from a certain group of idiots. But it is talking about the machinery between Hollywood and the government. And you and I have had this conversation. There is some. There are correlations between the two. There are agreements, and there are inner workings between the two at times where they have to rely on each other to make movies happen. There are movies that are very much propagandist films where it's like we have to make ourselves look like the good guys in a situation. We have to tell a really, really good story. Even if it's completely fabricated, most times we have to tell the story based on a real situation. You and I have covered the whole based on a true story thing, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, it's based on a real story. It's based on true events. Like, that's great. That's cool. How much of this is true, though? Some of it. But it's a real thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Argo. That was it. Argo and Zero Dark.
Right.
That's what it was. Because Argo was talking about the Zero Dark 30 is about the hunting down of Osama bin Laden. Argo is about the whole rescuing hostages from the Tehran incident. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But what people are missing about this is that where Ben Affleck played the protagonist in Argo, that was really a Hispanic man. That wasn't a white dude. That wasn't like just, whatever. That was not a real version of that person. They look vastly different. They're not even the same ethnicity. So you already lost me there. And then there are things that were done in Argo that were pretty much shot for, made up for more dramatic effects. Timestamps are wrong and everything else. There's a whole list. I was looking through this. There's a whole list of what happened in the movie versus what happened in real life that did not match up. But you have to tell a story in 2 hours as opposed to over the course of a few days. So you have to pick the dramatic things and shove them around, shuffle the deck a little bit, redistribute the cards, and tell that story. Yeah. But in this video, I was cracking up because this idiot of a woman was talking about how, like I said, the CIA, the head of the CIA, he's correcting scripts and sending them back. And if they don't play ball, the movie doesn't get made. Well, no, that's not true. Again, we've seen plenty of anti-government movies, plenty of them.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen movies that discuss the dangerous effects that government have on just the mere working class people. Those movies exist far and wide.
Yeah,
all over the place. But then we have movies that are any kind of recruit's wet dream. As I'll let you bring up the examples, but you brought them up to me the other day, and we actually had a discussion about this. But would you like to discuss some of these? I guess as we call them, propagandist wet dream films.
Well, the first one that comes to mind is always Top Gun. After all, it was literally a Navy recruitment tool.
Yeah,
and the ironic part being it's also the gayest movie ever.
Did you ever see that interview that Quentin Tarantino did where he discussed I'm sorry, it was a clip from a movie where Quentin Tarantino discusses that Tom Cruise was really gay in Top Gun?
Yeah, I've seen that. I can't say it's what made me think that Top Gun was filled with homoerotic undertones and quite frankly overtones. But if you want to fast forward a little bit and go to Top Gun Maverick, that whole subplot about him being with what's her face, how it seems kind of tacked on, right? And the whole time I'm watching Top Gun Maverick, I'm thinking, wow, this seems kind of an afterthought, this whole romantic thing. After all, he's literally spending 2 hours still grieving over the best friend that he lost decades prior. And I get that. You lose somebody close to you, it hurts. this seemed a little extra, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know, right?
And it was almost like they added her character just to, I guess, reiterate, no, it's not. Maverick's not actually, gay. Because see, there's a girl there, and
No.
yeah, there was no point for her to be there.
No, not one bit. Not one bit. And it cracked me up. Like, and I watched Top Gun Maverick, and I was like having a hard time really getting through it. But it's just like, oh God, it was over the top. Like you said, it's been like what 30 years since Top Gun. 30 years later, he's still struggling with this, and I'm sure that's a real thing. I'm not going to sit there and disparage anyone dealing with, like, Lord knows me of all people. I'm not going to sit there and disparage anyone that's dealing with grief and loss and so on and so forth. Especially blaming yourself for that death. But at the same time, it kind of reminds me of Cobra Kai. Kind of. Watching Top Gun Maverick versus going from Top Gun. If you watch Karate Kid Part 1, at the end of the match between Daniel and Joey, right? Johnny. Between Daniel and Johnny, at the very end, when he defeats him with that kick, the swan kick and everything else, cracks him on the side of the head and knocks his ass the hell down. The last thing you see in the Karate Kid movie is Johnny running up to him with a trophy. He's like, "Hey, Daniel, you're all right, man. You're all right." Gives him the trophy. "You're all right." Fast forward to Cobra Kai. Now, 30 plus years later, this guy's pissed.
Well, he did use an illegal move with a crane kick.
But he's still pissed 30 years later over Daniel ruining his life. With that,
it did alter the direction of his life. Crane kick.
I'm just saying. But you don't see him saying, "You're all right, Daniel, you're all right." And I get that it's got to show his perspective and all that stuff. I get that. But still, at the same time, it reminds me of that because after 30 plus years, you couldn't get over a karate championship from when you were in high school. Now, kind of like reminds me of Al Bundy not being able to get over the play he made back in high school.
He scored 4 touchdowns in a single game.
but you get to Top Gun Maverick, you got this movie, and it's still like at the end of one thing it did do is like at the end of Top Gun when Iceman tells Tom Cruise in that very, 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 very homoerotic way, "Hey, you can be my wingman anytime." And then they have that like high five and freeze frame, cut the credits. Now, I guess, wasn't it Iceman, Val Kilmer, that got him back into that to go do his thing? Like, isn't he the one that brought him back despite how reckless he was as a pilot?
What, for
Something
Maverick?
like that? Top Gun Maverick.
Brought him back to teach these... And that's the weird part about Top Gun Maverick, because it's not a bunch of rookies or a bunch of
they're seasoned pilots.
They've already passed the academy and they've already done the Top Gun training. They're amazing pilots, but they need them to go on a mission that may or may not be a war crime. And
it was, but yeah, go ahead.
and do this whole thing. So naturally, if you need someone to do something completely reckless,
get Tom Cruise.
Maverick.
Oh yeah, Maverick. I was gonna say, like, I mean, was I wrong too? Tom Cruise, just get Tom Cruise.
I mean, just to go down that road a little bit, they did fly into a sovereign nation and bomb it.
Yep.
Apparently unprovoked.
Yep. America, yeah. See the life in the mother day, yeah.
So I'm just gonna leave that right there.
No, but the whole point of this is that Top Gun was very much a recruitment video, and there have been a few things that have come up. Battleship from 2010, I think it was, somewhere around there, whenever Battleship came out, based on the board game, but unlike the board game, had aliens and not just opposing, countries, or I'm sorry, battleships going after each other. But the Navy had a huge hand in making that movie. Zero Dark 30, again, the Navy had a big part. Again, those are the Navy SEALs. They had a big part of making that movie. So you have a lot of movies where the military has a large hand in helping at least tell the storytellers how things went down.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into writing these scripts, and a large part of it is heavily researched. Most times, if you're actually making a good one. This isn't like a Neil Breen thing.
The thing about the video that we watched versus, the things that we're saying now, the funny part was the fact that this woman was trying to explain all of this like it was some sort of secret. Like,
oh, yeah.
You didn't know. Like, no, everybody knows. In fact, in all of the promotional stuff for Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, all of it, they're like, the U.S. Navy is so involved in making this movie. It's part of the advertising.
Yeah.
They're very proud of the fact that they were not only able to get the cooperation of the Navy, but they got to play with the toys too.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't Tom Cruise actually go inside Didn't Tom Cruise actually go inside of a jet for some scenes, while it was flying?
Yeah, he was piloting his jet.
Was he actually piloting it?
Yes.
Jesus Christ, that's scary. Okay.
Nobody will insure that man.
What was that line when he's he's on set for something and he's telling the stunt coordinator well, we have to do this, and the guy's like, we can never do this. As he fired that stunt coordinator, and he hired another one.
What was it? Mission Impossible.
One of those movies. One of those movies
with the whole bike jump off the cliff.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the new one, or the latest one, I should say. And watching it, I'm like, I've seen him do crazier stuff. This is the big stunt is a little underwhelming.
Yeah, riding a ramp and jumping off with a parachute on his back versus, I think it was Mission Impossible 2, where he was legitimately rock climbing without any safety net, no nothing, up the side of a mountain, way up there. And he's just holding on with his fingertips for that one scene.
With Limp Bizkit playing softly.
Limp Bizkit, oh my God. Yeah, that aged that movie. I'm going to have to go back and watch it now. But
John Woo flick, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't doubt it. John Woo was a big thing back at the turn of the century.
Face Off still gets it.
But no, there's a lot of movies like that. There's a list of movies that are very heavily influenced through military shit. And so when you have these movies, though, you cannot have the military involved with things and have them not make themselves look like the hero. Right? Even Independence Day, the military came in and really discussed a lot of things about what they would do in certain situations, like pilots and everything else. They had to research for Independence Day.
So let me ask you a question in two parts. First, do you think, and there is an actual answer to this that we know, do you think that the government has any say when it comes to script for the movies that they are heavily involved in?
Well, it depends on what the situation is, but I would absolutely assume that there would be.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Yes.
And it goes to part two of the part two is more of a statement. Okay, addressing part one. Yes, of course. They're like, you play with our toys. We want to look a certain way. And that's just kind of how it is. Otherwise, you don't get to play with the toys anymore, which means maybe your movie doesn't look as good as you want it to. And that's not going to fly. But the thing is, it's not just limited to our government. One
Yeah.
of the things that people have, suddenly started noticing is that just the Chinese government has also had a bit of a not necessarily a say in production, but they had it's more of an indirect influence on what happens. The most recent thing I can think of is the Barbie movie
Oh yeah.
with that territorial line on the map in the background. That they were like, someone was like, "Wait a second." But yeah, if you're making a movie and you want it to be released in China, then chances are you're probably going to have to make sure you don't have anything that pisses off their government. Otherwise, you will not be released there.
Yeah.
And
And
some movies have found out the hard way when they said they wouldn't make alterations, and some have appeased that section of the world to make sure they can get those extra millions of dollars padded on to the box office.
yeah,
But it was never
absolutely.
up to anybody but the studios.
But it's like the thing is here's the deal. With a video like that where she's talking about how it's like, oh well, like if they don't play ball with the government shuts it down. It's like, explain the Manchurian Candidate. Explain that movie to me. Or the remake. Like, they remade it.
They did it
Like,
twice.
It's not a brand new movie. That goes back to, I think, the 1960s. The first one came out. But you have these movies that come out all the damn time. Vantage Point. That really, there's a feel. The Hunt for Red October. Explain these movies and how they exist if the government's going to shut these movies down. I don't know, even like what was the movie? House of Cards. How did that show get made? House of Cards discusses a lot of things, just speculative about the government. You have TV shows, you have movies, you have forms of entertainment that discuss these things. So if the CIA is like in there, like just correcting scripts and sending them back to Hollywood or wherever, how are these getting made? There's no way the government would ever approve of something like House of Cards. Ever. The inner workings. Let's go over to Marvel here, for Christ's sake. Okay? Let's go over there. Any movie where there is a government interference in something. And Marvel, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about Captain America or even Iron Man. I'm talking about just like the Avengers movies or anywhere there's Thunderbolt Ross. The Incredible Hulk is a great example of the government trying to correct their mistake.
The Avengers, the first Avengers movie.
Absolutely.
You have Nick Fury trying to run SHIELD, and the bureaucracy is like, well, I guess we got to nuke New York.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to nuke the entire city with everyone in it. But on top of that, it's not just that. Nick Fury, when he's working with SHIELD and they're building weapons of mass destruction to combat greater threats, and they're using the Avengers as their own personal, soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And they find out about it. Captain America is the greatest example. I know people that hate the Captain America movies and his whole arc. He got sick of shit. He got sick of shit with the government. He got sick of the bureaucracy and the hypocrisies behind it. So if you're going to say that the government has to sign off on things, why make a superhero that hates the government so much that he walked away from it?
His iconic red, white, and blue uniform to a black on black motif.
Yeah, pretty much. Ripped off the American, the star, ripped off the, the patches on his shoulder and everything else, stopped wearing his helmets. He threw his shield down to Tony Stark, at the end of, Civil War?
Civil War. Okay,
little
backstory here, in case you haven't seen Captain America Civil War. After the events of Avengers Age of Ultron, see, it is an important movie. The Sokovia Accords were designed to sort of make the Avengers a quasi-military unit to be directly under the influence of the U.S. government. Captain America said, no, the fact that we run independently is what makes us so valuable. The fact that we don't work for a government makes us a world resource to take on world threats. So if something's happening somewhere else and the U.S. government's like, we hate them, so we're not going to help. Cap's like, but no, we help people. That's what we do. And Iron Man's like, you know what? We caused a lot of damage doing our own thing, so maybe we should let some oversight happen. And that's why they were clashing. And came down to it. They find out that's Cap's best friend, Tony's parents, and became less about the actual political motivations and more personal as time went on. But fact is, after that, like I said, he ditched his uniform and went with something a little more Batman-esque. He looked at his uniform and was like, does it come in black?
But then now you have other things like just getting away from like major government. Let's go to local government. Let's go to local law enforcement. Movies are, and I've again, the highlights in this book, it even talks about how local law enforcement has a big hand to play in what gets made. Tell me about Fruitvale Station, Lakeview Terrace, again, Rambo. Tell me how local law enforcement has anything to do with Fruitvale Station. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie. It's based on a real thing where a guy is shot and killed. It's played by Michael B. Jordan, is shot and killed at a train stop just because he was there. Cop had his gun drawn, shot him. These things happen. And there are other movies about that. And if you're going to get all sensitive, like, oh, well, he's about BLM. Like, no, I'm talking about in general. Rambo. Again, the guy just wanted to pass through town. But being that he was a soldier in Vietnam, I don't know if you guys are aware of your U.S. history. If you guys are not from the United States, I'm going to teach you something right now. If you fought in Vietnam, when you came back, you were not well respected. They were spit at when they got back. Like, they were just disrespected. They were treated horribly because they went over to fight a war that they should not have been in. Vietnam was a monumental waste of time and,
lives.
Time, lives, money, everything. But the thing is John Rambo just wanted to pass through town and get some food. That's all he wanted. He asked the cop, like, where's the nearest diner? Oh, I think you'd find the diner in the next town over is more to your needs. You should be careful. Walk around that jacket. It's just like an army flak jacket carrying his, whatever. So the thing is, it's like you have these movies that are influenced. Granted, they are influenced by the happenings of the government, local government, law enforcement. Christ, dude, World Trade Center. While we're talking about movies that are influenced by political events. I would actually believe that the head of the CIA signed off on that one, especially since we got the Marine that's actually a much living and breathing black man, very well alive, as portrayed by a shorter, blonde-haired, blonde, white dude. And no one ever bothered shouting about race swapping in that one. They just they just waited until later on, a decade later, to get pissed off about that one. But the thing is, still, that was it was based on a true thing, but it was heavily fabricated. These guys all died in that movie. Most of them. There's no recordings. We didn't have GoPros back in 2001. We didn't have these cute little things right here in this shape, the smartphones. We have little flip phones. And you are the Mac Daddy if yours had a camera on it, I promise you. So you're a big baller. Yeah. But these movies are influenced by real events. All these movies are influenced by real events does not mean they're signed off on by the government. There's tons of these movies. Promise you, there's plenty of them. They'll blow your fucking mind. Oh, shit, there's two.
How dare you?
I know. I gotta get better, Josh. I can be better, ladies and gentlemen. I can curse more, but without the F word. So
you want to know something funny though?
Sure, go ahead. What's up?
I know of one particular instance when the thing that they're saying happened actually did happen.
Okay, what's that?
Do you remember the original animated version of Animal Farm.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're going back years, dude. Yes,
Yeah,
decades.
yeah. Um, well, after Orwell died, his widow, they're like, hey, why don't you turn his story into a movie? So she sold the rights to the CIA. So yeah, they basically made Animal Farm.
Yeah. But you also have other movies, and this is, I know it's a British book, but 1984. It is a British
Same
book, and
author.
there's yep, Orwell, and there is a movie with John Hurt, right? Yeah, John
I
Hurt.
haven't seen any version of it. Just read
Um,
the book.
but there are plenty of movies. You have like The Ides of March. You have Soylent Green, which is a messed up movie. Logan's Run, A Clockwork Orange, Wag the Dog. For Christ's sake, Wag the
Oh
Dog.
God, Wag the Dog.
Like, you want to
That
talk about
a movie
movies that
doesn't
are
get talked
like,
about enough.
no, it doesn't. It's an amazing movie. It's all about creating propaganda for scare tactics. That's a whole movie. The whole movie is about controlling a population. What didn't they create like a fake war or something like that? It's
Yeah,
been
they created a
years, but
fake war. They created fake war heroes,
yeah,
and it all amounted to because they hired a
yeah.
Hollywood director to, create a war and
That's
put it
right.
out there.
Yeah, what
And
was it? Was that John? Was it John Travolta? No, it wasn't John
no, it
Travolta.
was Dustin
No, it was
Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman. Why don't I think of John Travolta? Oh no, he was in one too. He was in The General's Daughter. That's probably where I'm getting that one from. But
He was
All the
also in
President's
Primary
Men.
Colors.
Yeah, Primary Colors. They're the Broken Arrow. Another movie that talks about like these people going crazy and all that stuff. Again, like just soldiers going crazy, really.
What about
All the
it?
President's
It might
Men is
not
another
sound
really
like it,
great one.
but looking at it on the surface, you really wouldn't say it falls into the category. But if you think about it, remember Dave?
Oh yeah, dude. Yep.
It's a
Yeah.
movie about a president that falls ill. So they Prince and the Pauper of the situation. They find a lookalike to kind of take over, and of course, he's just regular Joe that is not presidential as he's supposed to be doing all of these public events and he's supposed to be with the first lady. Who was it? It was Sigourney Weaver, if I'm not mistaken, played the first lady.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if you think about it, they like literally just replaced the president.
Yeah.
And nobody noticed.
You know what I would like to see though, like when we're talking about like presidents and everything else, and movies about presidents and the shitty goings ons inside the White House. I would love to see something like with what was it, Robin Williams movie, Man of the Year. It was 2006 or 7 that came out. 2006, I want to say, where it's like a the host of a political satire show that just happens to get voted in as president. I think he ran as a joke or something, right? It's been like years, but I think he
was
ran
just a bit
as like a joke, and he got elected. But and he ended up actually like being the most popular president that we've ever had. Basically, he messed up quite a bit. Of course, there's got to be stakes, and he's a comedian that became a president, stuff like that. But he ends up doing a much better job as a president than most presidents have done. But I would love to see that happen. I would love to see just some likable comedian become president of the United States.
What happened in Ukraine?
Not an actor, not another Ronald Reagan. What's that?
That's literally what happened in Ukraine.
Was he a comedian?
Yes.
Huh, I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, and I would say that Man of the Year might have some of those Jon Stewart feels people wanted Jon Stewart to kind of throw his hat in the race because
Oh yeah.
at one point he was the most trusted newsman in America, the comedian on Comedy Central.
And right now he's hated by the government.
And apparently
he's hated by Capitol Hill. Hardcore. Like they can't stand him. And all he does is stand up for what's right. I love Jon Stewart. I love me some Jon Stewart.
Just got canceled.
What do you mean?
His show on Apple got canceled.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know he had a show at all. I don't watch Apple very often. It's rare.
Yeah, that was one of the things. I think it's been on 3 or 4 seasons, and he would, do these big pieces that he didn't have to worry about doing anything daily. He didn't. I don't even think it was weekly, but his show was very in depth, very detail oriented, as he generally is. But if I'm remembering correctly, I don't remember what the topic was, but he wanted to go hard on some topic, and Apple was like, "No, we can't do that." And he said, "No, but we're going to do that." And they said, "Well, then you won't have a show."
Did he do it?
Well, he didn't have a show.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I didn't know if like they just gave him the ultimatum. He still fucking did it. There was 3.
No, they made him a free agent.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good. Then hopefully he. See, the thing is he's got the backing where if he really wanted to do it, he could have a following. He could do his own show, Wayne's World style, and have a monumental following.
Like Tucker?
He is one of the few people that honestly both idiots on the left and the idiots on the right love. They like the fact that he stands up for a lot of things. They don't always agree with what he's saying, but they do. Like he has a lot of respect from both sides that's shared towards him. He has that voice, and huh?
Well, I'd say he not only speaks his mind, but he speaks a lot of people's minds.
Oh, absolutely. When he was going off at I forget what the meeting was, but it was about the benefits for the firefighters during 9/11 and how these people have a lot of people have lost their lives due to the inhalation of the dust from the concrete and the rubble. And one of them was a very good friend of his.
Ending the health coverage.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was going toe to toe and like talking about how like these guys gave their lives doing something that you guys are preaching about, but you're not really showing that you actually care about. Like I forget exactly what the very loosely paraphrasing everything he just said after like an hour-long meeting in like 5 seconds in a sentence. But he is very adamant about what is right for the working class and for first responders, and how the United States government has failed all of them. I'm surprised that man is still alive. I'm surprised he's still alive. You cross politicians, you usually end up dead. But I digress. The thing is you have these sources of entertainment. You have these comedians, these actors, these directors, these producers, these production houses that make movies. And if you're going to make a movie, if you're going to write a book, and if you're going to make a video off of a book talking about how much like the government has to, weigh in on things and how it's so shady in one video. And then I looked at her other videos, and she has another video like 3 weeks later talking about how the government silences movie makers. Pick one. Clearly, your book that you read is just a book. I could write a book on marriage advice. Guess what? I've never been married, never intend to be married. So I can't really give that advice. But I did create a book cover, and I am working actively on a book, but just for bad advice for marriages. It's called Marital Combat, an unsolicited book of marriage advice from an unmarried man. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's a brilliant, But that's just where we stand. Josh, what are you looking at there? I see you looking off to the side and typing something.
Just, making sure that I'm not a complete idiot.
Not completely, but what are you looking at?
No, don't worry about it.
Okay. Anyway, so the point being is that there's a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of things that are passed through. the people that meet with studio executives the most are other studio executives. The people that have to get approval from studio executives are the writers or the producers. And then there's a whole chain of command. None of them lead up to the head of the CIA. There are, again, wet dreams for recruiters that come out occasionally. Again, Independence Day, you have Top Gun Maverick. You have plenty of these movies. And then you have movies that are a nightmare for politicians, such as House of Cards, Manchurian Candidate. You have all these other movies that come out that actually, like V for Vendetta. You have these movies that very specifically demean the government. And there's even a line in V for Vendetta that was in the graphic novel and is in the movie where he says, people should not fear the government should fear the people. You can't make movies like that if the government is going to be signing off on everything, because the government would never allow that line in there. And V for Vendetta, I think, is a very, very good example of what we're talking about here, because that just happens to deal with the chancellor who censors everything and has supreme control over everything that people think and see in, the media. The United States in the book is thriving, but as far as people in England know, they cannot leave England because the rest of the world is pretty much gone. The rest of the world is in shambles, and England is the only thriving country in the world.
Can you help me wrap my head around something real quick?
Go for it. What's up?
I know we were talking about, about people that, don't care for the government. But at the same time, constantly brag about being patriots.
I know. There's no wrapping your mind around it. It's just stupidity. But the thing is, the people that brag about this stuff, most of them have never even served a day in their life. I'd be surprised if I ever even found that they were Boy Scouts at some point. These are people that just flat out say things. I'm a patriot. See, I posted a "Don't Tread on Me" flag on my Facebook. Like you're not a patriot. You're a moron. You don't know what you're talking about. It goes back to the whole everyone's a sheep. Hey, MAGA. Let's go, Brandon. Like, you're wearing your mask, you're a sheep. Oh, look at what else I'm going to recant from someone else I heard. Drain the swamp. And I'm not just saying that before anyone gets pissy about my disdain towards the right. I have the same thing with the left. I don't care.
You don't have to worry about that, because as soon as you said MAGA in a condescending tone, everyone just kind of tuned out.
That's fine. But I just don't care about politics. I don't care. I don't care about the government. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's just dangerous. It's all about one hand washing the other. That's all it is. But you talk about these movies having to be approved by a government entity. Explain Snowden.
Explain how any movie gets made. That's the case. Because, quite frankly, with as efficient as they are up there on the hill, if Hollywood relied on the approval of the government to get things done, things would never get done.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. But that's the thing, though. It's like, for some reason, this is a conspiracy, and this book is nothing but conspiracy. Guess what? There's another book that was published. It's called The Secret. You know what that book tells you to do? Think it, want it, get it. That's The Secret. That's the entire book, basically.
It's got to have more words than that.
But, no, there's plenty of words. It just all boils down to the same thing. Just think about what you do in life and just manifest it by just thinking about it. No, it doesn't work. You got to earn it. There's another great book also called The Bible.
Hold on. Unless we live in a simulated world. If this is all a simulation.
Possibly. But there's
yes.
And there's another movie that talks about that. It's called The Matrix. But there's also a book called The Bible. It's got a lot of things in it that are complete bullshit. Like a guy getting eaten by a whale and living inside the whale's stomach for God knows how long.
Big fish.
There are plenty of stories to be told that are made largely for control. And this book that this girl is holding up, I don't want to discuss the book on here because it's not worth even discussing. I'm not going to give this guy a platform, even like a small one, to get his name out there. It's not a good book. It's so embarrassing that this guy even wrote this thing. It's even more embarrassing that people are buying it. It's full of conspiracies. That's the entire book. It's about the conspiracies of Hollywood. Now, there are things that Hollywood has done that has always been done that is disgusting and vile. Walt Disney, the actress that played Snow White, she never had a role after Snow White. That was her big breakout role. He owned her voice, and no one else really needed to hear her sound like anything other than the Snow White. She did not have an acting gig for anything major, really. Like, that was her big starring role ever. There's plenty of things he said. He was an absolute anti-Semite. He was very racist.
Yeah,
that saving Mr. Banks movie, bullshit. It only really discussed like how he swindled Mary Poppins out of the author's hands, and then desecrated her work. Because he wanted animations, and big stipulation that she had was that there would be no animating anything in that book or in that movie. If you've never seen Mary Poppins, go watch it. He completely went back on his promise. But there's plenty of situations.
And then watch the sequel with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, God. God. But no, the thing is, like, just still, it's like you have a lot of movies that are influenced by politics and by agendas and everything else. It's not new. It's nothing new. People keep acting like there's this agenda that's never been addressed before. It's all been addressed. These movies have been discussed for decades.
Are you telling me movies have messages?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's weird how that works. Yeah. People are like, oh my God, this is a new thing. Like, no, it's not. It's been going around for years, guys. It's been around since the dawn of fucking art. This would be like a most R-rated show here. I keep slipping up. I'm sorry. It's just it's frustrating to me. It is very frustrating to hear these people say the same damn thing all the damn time as if they're the first ones to say it.
Wait, human trafficking is a problem?
Yeah, right? Oh, The Sound of Freedom. It really discusses something that's not being discussed. We should watch this movie. It's the best movie ever made. It's the first one to discuss human trafficking. Taken. What's that? Movie about human trafficking and revenge.
With Liam Neeson.
Yeah. I have a particular set of skills. I will find you. And I will kill you. Good luck. It's just like, it just cracks me up when people talk about that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, well, no, this is about trafficking. Okay. Oh, there's a movie about labor, like the workforce, and how it's unfair for people, and like the powers that be take full advantage of the workers. Like, yeah, okay. Name a movie that's like that. The Matrix. Well, no, they're just fighting against the machines. Like, well, yeah. How do they get to fighting? Oh, that's right. They're woken up because they're being worked literally to death while they're fed this whole idea of what their lives are. And some of them are even living shitty lives in the Matrix. Like, they're even struggling inside the Matrix while they're being like used as batteries.
I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help but think, wait, the Matrix is literally about people going woke.
Wait, you woke me up? That's right, you woke bastard. I'm not woke. Well, we woke you. Oh, God. But no, there's to end my end of this conversation, there are plenty of movies. There are plenty of forms of media between movies, TV shows, radio shows, and everything else, short films that discuss the inner workings of the government and how the government really does either affect or influence the filmmaking process. It has been done, yes, it has been done numerous times, but understand also that to make a movie, you have the government involved, because guess where you get the permits to film the movies from? Local government. There we go. You got to get them from local government to even film the damn movie. I particularly like the idea of guerrilla filmmaking. Stick it to the man. But especially out here in California, where it's $600 per day per location. You shoot like, 1 day in 2 locations. That's a $1,200 day right there. So,
yeah, but at least in
J-Ville is free.
There's options as far as where to film.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, as long as you don't have things on it, I think from what Mark, a previous guest of ours on the show, Mark Hensley, he's the Emmy award-winning sound engineer that we had with a pre-recorded interview, if I remember right. But with him, he taught me a few things about how things are done out here, and he mentioned because he's making his own film right now, his own low-budget feature film. He's doing it. To my understanding, he's kicking ass at it. But they will, if they even see that you're filming from the street. I've seen Mark's house. I'm not going to get into the layout of his house, but I'll put it this way: you cannot see into his windows from the street. You can't do it. But
and the third bathroom always gets clogged up for some reason.
But if you were to, if someone were to see you and report you to the cops, and they saw you filming a scene, they have like the lights set up here. There were like the balance board and everything else. You had like someone with a boom pole and all this stuff. You had like the clapper over here, like they're like the slates. If you had all this stuff and a whole group of people in there, headphones on, filming something, and someone sees it, to report it, the government can come and shut you down if you don't have a permit. So the thing is that the government does get involved, even on low levels with the filmmaking process, are always involved. As far as decision making, unless it is an absolute, we need advice from the military, we have an agreement to make the military look cool or something like that, you're not really going to get a whole lot of government interference there. They're not going to sit there and like X out like, oh, this makes us look bad. Listen, Ghostbusters made the EPA look like shit. The entire antagonist of Ghostbusters, there were 2 antagonists. It was Gozer for a brief second, but it was largely, the EPA. That was
Marvel movies. The biggest villain has always been.
It's always the government.
Yeah.
In the Avengers, what was it like? I think it was the Winter Soldier. You find out that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s been infiltrated by like Hydra. S.H.I.E.L.D. is like the CIA basically. And there's even a line in I think Age of Ultron where you have like oh god, what's his name? The Maximoff twin, the guy.
Quicksilver.
Pietro. That was looking for his actual name. When he's asking, is like when he sees like when he sees S.H.I.E.L.D. show up, and he sees them like sending out all the escape pods and everything else for all the people in the city in Sokovia to get the hell out of there and get back onto the ship. And he's like, "What's this?" And Steve Rogers is like, "This is what S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to be." Like that's a hell of a cut. Like, yeah, they're finally doing their job. Go them. All right, S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, yay. A few decades later, you're actually living up to what you're supposed to do. That's cool. Yeah, there's not a single movie most times that makes the government out to be like the hero. So while you have movies that do that, but actually, I'm even like trying to think, Top Gun Maverick, the government was not made out to be a hero at all. They discussed the frustrations with the commanders and everything else, and the commanders have discussed how it's like their orders kind of deal. Like it's like we all have to do what we're told.
Right. But because it's sort of an internal conflict as far as the government goes, it's less of the entity is bad and more of a kind of a guy.
Yeah, homoerotic tension. What's that in? Oh, it's in Top Gun somewhere, I think. No, it's not. It should be. I feel the need for speed. Then they have that very, 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 very homo. It was like, it's fine. If you're gay, listen, I don't care if you're gay, straight or not. But let's just call it like it is. Top Gun, the first one, was all about Tom Cruise just coming out of the closet. That's all it was. The entire movie. Was it not, Josh? What kind of peeking out?
I want to see a deleted scene where Rooster goes to Maverick. And he's like, "So, did you and my dad do it or what?"
Showing videotapes of like that really weird, like high five and low five clap that they do, like when they're walking past each other. The slow motion volleyball, like games with them without a
presenting
shirt
the
on.
evidence.
Yeah. Versus over there, like, okay. Hey, Maverick. Well, yeah. Why's my dad walking funny here? That's going to get us somewhere I can't really say on the show. But it's just either way. Like I said, I don't care if you're gay, straight, bi, trans, or non-binary. I don't care. If you're a good person, you're a good person. But let's just call this movie what it is for what it was. It was a commercial for two things. A, it's okay to be gay. B, recruitment. And it was a Navy movie.
Navy.
It was a Navy movie. So, all you Navy guys out there, it's okay.
The only thing it was missing was the village people.
Well, there was a guy with a hard hat in it, I think, at one point. But it did teach me my most used and unsuccessful pickup line. And it was singing "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" to a woman. They don't like that. You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss you. They don't like that at all. They don't know you. And if they know you, they may not like it still. But either way. So, that being the case, I think we covered that pretty much. I think we did a pretty good job, like touching base on the BS behind that. And I kind of want to post a video on the WADcast page, but I also don't want to.
Yeah, let's not be associated with.
It's just so stupid. Bad. But either way, what else is on the agenda here?
There's a what now?
What else is on the agenda for tonight? Or was that pretty much it?
Hold on, let me check my notes.
That's all I got on mine.
Nope, that's pretty much everything I had.
Okay. Well, do you want to tell people where they can follow you? Or should I go?
Follow me outside.
I'll be flying outside. Oh, by the way, quick announcement. In a few short weeks here, Josh and I are going to have a series of not live, but pre-recorded shows that we'll be doing in person. I will be in Jacksonville in a few weeks. And while I'm in town, we are going to try to find a day where we can actually film a few, at least hopefully at the least two shows with each other. And like that way we can split them down, edit them, and just try like a multi-camera setup and do something different than what you guys see with these talking heads on, our constant like weekly podcasts. So we're going to try to do something a little bit different where we're in the same room, see how that works out. And see what else we can do. We're also talking about doing some other things I will not get into on the show, but we are talking largely about just like, again, being in person with each other and trying to do something for the WADcast.
Yeah, things we can do, being in proximity that might be a whole lot of fun, or it might get us in trouble.
Well, I'll most likely be the one getting in
way
trouble.
Or the other.
I'm very bad at talking myself. I'm very bad at talking my way out of trouble, but that's what it is. But either way, if you guys want, follow me, bjacksman1982 on Instagram. But more importantly, follow the WADcast. You go into the WADcast on Instagram, instagram.com/the WADcast, or just type it in the search bar. Just type in the WADcast. You'll see us show up. You'll see a picture of Josh and I in the same picture together with the banner in the background. What you do is you go down there, you click follow. And that's really it. Same thing for Facebook. Just go on Facebook. You'll see, just type in the WADcast. You'll see our logo that you see up in the top corner of the screen here. And just go ahead and give us a follow. That's it. If you want to send me a friend request on Facebook, I've gotten a few messages from one or two of our listeners. Some of them actually, there's been a few, more than a few, but they're usually hateful. Here's the thing. I don't accept friend requests, and you will never know if I see your message or not because I've seen them. I just delete them. And if it's a message request, you will never know that I'm looking at it. So don't friend request me. Just go follow the WADcast. And then you can message us and tell me how much I suck on there. And that's fine. Then you'll know I saw it. But that's all I got. Josh, what about you?
I don't have any message requests.
Yeah, well, you're more likable than I am.
And I know like the people on my friends list, so no requests there. I see how you people are.
Yeah,
Fickle.
I get all. Yeah, start sending Josh some hate mail. It makes me laugh, but I'm sure he'd like it too. It makes him feel special. Send him some. But where can people follow you, Josh?
Just go to wadcomedia.com. All of the social media links are there, and you'll be able to find out all about the other great show that we produce with Wadco Media, including 1021, the internet's favorite movie-centric list-making podcast. It is a wonderful time next week. We are talking about comedies from the 70s. So if you want to chime in there, just go to Wadco Media on Facebook and I guess leave a list somewhere. I'll find it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep. Okay. Well, with that being the case,
gotta love it,
all
Brandon.
Got, so I do.
Yeah, that's everything. So how do you want to do this? The actors are still on strike.
Yeah,
and
that's what we just ended.
Hopefully tomorrow we'll get some better news as they go back to the table.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope this strike comes to an end as soon as possible. But honestly, I'm enjoying the fact that the studios are struggling right now and panicked. It gives me like this really warm feeling inside. I love it. So, yeah, that's all I got. So, everyone else, we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern Pacific. Oh, yeah, Pacific. My God. No. 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Every Friday night, come join us, hang out with us. And this will be one of the very few times you'll ever hear me discussing politics on here. So,
yeah.
Hopefully never again.